Hi there. What big plan does President William Samoei Ruto have for the country? The president ascended to power on 13th of September 2022. And of course, even before ascending to power, there were conversations around reviving the economy. Both him and the opposition team were actually campaigning heavily around reviving the economy to ensure Kenyans have money in their pockets, businesses thrive, and even the country to be able to repay its debt. All these I'm going to be dissecting for you. And of course, at the center of it, I'm going to be discussing based on what President Ruto had in his manifesto. Essentially, what did he promise to do to Kenyans? I'm going to share that with you in summary, just touching on key sectors which are relevant to ensuring money flows to the pockets of Kenyans. You are all much welcomed to the Money Daily YouTube channel. My name is Afagza Sifuna. And by the way, if you're new here, kindly consider subscribing to this channel for you to be getting awesome daily videos with regards to how you can multiply your money and also how to improve your life. Having said that, this manifesto of Kenya Kwanza had multiple things in it. Of course, it cross-cut a couple sectors. We're talking about it cross-cutting over 8 sectors. But in this video, I'm just going to discuss 5 sectors which are essential in ensuring money flows in the economy. And I'm going to discuss these 5 sectors basically because we all understand the pain points which Kenyans are facing in their quest to lead their daily lives. Of course, at the center of it is the rise in the cost of living, okay? Whereby we're talking about foodstuffs prices increasing drastically and even fuel in the country increasing month in, month out. And then secondly, we all understand Kenyans don't have money in their pockets to be able to cater for their daily expenses. Whether you're talking about food, whether you're talking about healthcare, whether you're talking about being able to pay school fees for children and so forth, okay? And even beyond that, businesses out there are also going through a hard time. Basically because of the regulations around business and also businesses out there more so, micro and small businesses out there not being able to access financing, the much needed financing for them to be able to scale their businesses, okay? And other key pain point is that also accessing credit for Kenyans is quite difficult because a figure being floated out there is that about 14 million Kenyans are listed in the CRB, thus making it difficult for them to be able to access credit, whether for emergency, household use, or even for business. Having said that, the 5 key sectors I'm going to be looking at are sector number 1, agriculture sector, okay? And then secondly, I'm going to look at housing, right? Third, I'm going to look at the ICT, okay? Fourth, I'm going to look at manufacturing. And then lastly, I'm going to look at the shared services economy. So with regards to agriculture, we all need to understand and appreciate that currently, agriculture is actually a massive driver in the economy. And I'm saying so because agriculture contributes to almost half of the country's GDP. Of course, 25% directly and 25% indirectly. And we all know some of the key driving sectors out there which have been driving the agriculture sector in the country. And also agriculture actually has some of the highest number of employees in the country when it comes to public sector and even private sector. Because we're talking about there being hundreds of thousands of farmers out there who are working very hard to ensure our agricultural sector thrives. And so based upon this, what does the manifesto which the president used to enter office promise to Kenyans? First things first, the manifesto promised to lower the cost and ensure this affordability with regards to farm inputs. Think about it. Issues around fertilizer, matters around, for example, farm inputs, tools, and so forth. All these were promised in the manifesto that the price could go down and also ensure we have quality and affordable farm inputs. Then relating to that, also the manifesto promises that there will be additional or expansion of extensive services out there to ensure small farmers out there are able to get knowledge with regards to how they can capitalize on their land to ensure they get maximum return on their investment. And of course, a figure floated in there is that on average ensure each acre out there returns a revenue of about 50,000 Kenya shillings, which is kind of exciting if you think about it. Because most farmers out there, even telling them, for example, per acre, they can be able to get a revenue of 50,000 Kenya shillings is a dream, right? And then a third key thing under agriculture, which this manifesto promised, is that also those dead cash crops out there are going to be revived. Talking about coffee, for example, talking about cashew nuts, talking about pyrethrum, and so forth. All those cash crops which used to bring revenue to our country, which actually dried off, are going to be revived. And then, last key thing also which the manifesto talked about and actually promised to reinstate is ensure it expands the tea sector in the country through ensuring there's optimal blending and also ensuring just enhancement of quality and to ensure this gets to the right markets at the right time. Okay, those are the key things which are promised under agriculture. And we hope that the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is going to work hard to ensure all this is achieved, because agriculture is a key driver of the economy in the country, right? And then the second sector, housing. What was promised by the president under housing? And also, what is the current state with regards to housing in the country? It is worth appreciating that at the moment, we have two tiers of matters around housing and settlement in the country. Tier 1 is in urban areas and then rural areas, okay? With regards to urban areas, we're talking about the country having shortage of 200,000 units of housing each and every year. And that's all because in urban areas in the country, there is need of approximately 250 units of housing per year, yet the provision is only a paltry 50,000 units per year, meaning the shortage is 200,000 units of housing per year, which is kind of an insane number, okay? And then in the rural front, there isn't really a problem with regards to housing. Rather, there is a problem with regards to land ownership and settlement. And that's why we see, for example, in some rural areas out there, like for example, in coastal region of the country, there is a problem of squatters, whereby people are living in a given piece of land, they don't have a title to that particular piece of land, and yet there are wrangles day in, day out regards to ownership of that piece of land. So, based upon this, what did the manifesto of President William Samoei Ruto promise to Kenyans? With regards to the urban ecosystem, it promised that it will ensure it ramps up within 1 year to ensure there is provision of at least 250,000 units of housing in urban center, in essence, to cover the entire shortage within a short span of time. And related to that is that also it promised it will work with developers out there to see how to evoke key new mechanisms around financing to ensure that mortgages are affordable. And of specific interest is that it mentioned that it will work to see how to lower the price of mortgage, more so for the affordable houses, which it will work with developers to develop, to ensure even people out to pay, for example, mortgage of under 10,000 Kenya shillings per month, which by the way I think is going to be a cool thing if it happens. Imagine paying mortgage under 10K per month. In essence, you are essentially just paying even cheaper than your rent for mortgage, and then at the end of it all, you're going to be able to own that house. Okay? And then with regards to the rural terrain, we're talking about there being promised with regards to addressing land ownership and ensuring there's optimal settlement schemes. And of course, it mentioned, for example, the scheme or approach to used even in settling key squatters during independence is going to be evoked to ensure everyone out there has a place they call home. That is what was promised with regards to housing and settlement in the country. And then the third key sector, which I want to discuss, ICT. Also, a lot was promised that front. Of course, the starting point is appreciating what the current state is. And at the moment we're talking about there being 9,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable laid in the terrestrial. And of course, in underwaters, we're talking about the ocean, we have 6 powerful fiber optic connections which actually bring the internet to the country. So, the president promised in his manifesto that by the end of his term, is going to ensure that the country has over 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic in the terrestrial. And even beyond this, he's going to ensure also that access to broadband in the country is 100%. As speaking right now, the access is 56%, more so concentrated in urban centers of the country. So that's a promise to the wananchis. And even beyond that, also, there is a promise with regards to there being streamlining of government services. And that's all because in the manifesto, the president specified that he's going to ensure that at least 80% of government services are automated and digitized before the end of his term. Of course, we all understand everything can be digitized, yes, but he promised at least 80%. And this so as to ensure this increased service provision and everything is streamlined. And more exciting, to that front is that also there is a team to be formed, actually based at the presidential unit, to ensure there is cohesion with regards to everything ICT in the country. So that is very clear with regards to what the plan for the country is, and every key player plugs into this, which I think, by the way, is an awesome thing. Looking forward to that, to see how the economy of the country is going to change and also how service provision is going to be improved, right? And then the fourth sector I want to discuss is manufacturing. With regards to manufacturing, the president was very categorical in his manifesto that the country has actually retrogressed, is gone back with regards to manufacturing. And that's so because over the past 5 years, manufacturing has fell to below 8% contribution to the economy. Before that, it was upwards of 9%, but it's gone back to under 8%, which, by the way, is something very disturbing. And of course, this was attributed to this extreme debt the country has, which actually interferes with the exchange mechanisms for the country. And also, just the ability of the country addressing some of the key sectors out there. For example, leather manufacturing, for example, garment and textile, right? For example, we're talking about even steel industry and so forth. This, the president promised actually to change. And to give you an example, a very good promise laid out there is that beyond these particular industries I've talked about, also the president was very categorical that in his term, he's going to ensure pharmaceuticals in the country, things improve a big time. And this so because he's going to work so hard to ensure there is scaling up in the pharmaceuticals industry. And more importantly, he's going to work with other mechanisms in the country, such as the UHC, to see how they're going to be cushioning off the cost of pharmaceuticals in the country. And to ensure galvanizing of the regional ecosystem, the president is going to ensure there is a pharmaceuticals hub in the country, which is going to be a point of service in the region. That was what was promised in the manufacturing front. And then the last sector I want to discuss with you is that sector of services, right? And this encompasses services like, for example, financial services, like, for example, tourism, just to mention a few. Of course, this was one of the main points the president campaigned based on, in essence, financial services in the country, whereby the issue of lending, more so digital lending, has actually pushed many Kenyans out there to the CRB listing. And the president was very categorical that he's going to work with the key players in the ecosystem to ensure he revamps the lending ecosystem in the country. And of course, this is going to be also sector specific. Like, for example, reviving of circles, which are going to ensure people are able to access more streamlined lending mechanisms, right? Reviving, for example, microfinance sectors to ensure there's more streamlining of financing mechanisms. And even beyond those, just thinking about how to pitch the local mwananchis and even businesses and SMEs, creditworthiness out there to potential financiers beyond just a basic listing in the CRB. This is something which the president promised, and in fact is very clearly documented that it's a priority for the government. And with regards to tourism, it was highlighted also that at the moment we're talking about Kenya being ranked 9th in Africa with regards to tourism and also visitors coming into the country. And this is also a slump. And actually, in this manifesto, it was attributed towards there being a cost variation in that in the country, tourism is pitched towards high-class clientele, rather than pitching tourism to everyone out there so that each and every person in the country contributes towards tourism in the country. So based upon this, the president was very categorical that he's going to actually work with the tourism sector to ensure there's reviving of the approach in tourism in the country, so as to see how to trigger local tourism to increase, more so targeting the youths out there to contribute greatly towards tourism in the country, so that the revenues continue skyrocketing as opposed to them stagnating because of them targeting high-end clienteles when it comes to tourism in the country. Those are the 5 sectors I wanted to discuss with you on what the president of the country will do, given right now he is in power and actually he's earned it. And most importantly, all these things I've talked about were promised in his manifesto. What do you think about them? I know I haven't talked about other sectors out there, like, for example, healthcare and so forth. I've just mentioned the key sectors which I think have a bearing with regards to how money flows to the pockets of Kenyans out there. Based on this, what do you think? Do you think, for example, the president is going to be able to achieve all this in 5 years? Kindly drop your comment down below in the comment section. Also, if you have a contrary opinion, share with us. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I look forward to share with you other awesome videos next time. Bye bye and you all take care.